Meg and Ryan. We're back with Robbie with NiteLites. And Robbie, tell us, where are we today?
So we're right here off the May River at a new construction home. And I thought it would be important to talk about the infrastructure rough-in side of outdoor lighting.
Awesome. Because it's really important for folks when they're putting a lighting system in their house to get you involved at the beginning.
Yeah, it's never too late to get me in. So usually it starts with the landscape architect and the whole design of the outdoor area, and it's never too early for me to come in, meet with the builder or the client, and we talk about infrastructure and getting conduit sleeves under sidewalks and things like that, so we can get lighting where it's needed and we don't miss any windows of opportunity.
Now, how early should you be involved in this process? From the blueprint stage?
Super early, I would say when you start to grade, that would be something where you get us in. Obviously, if irrigation's going in, we can share the same trenches, things like that, but it's at the very beginning of the landscape.
So I think we've got a good example of one of your projects here. Tell us about this.
Right, so obviously we have brick here for the swimming pool. We have lights, uplighting a sculpture for the client. So perfect example why we should be in early, working with the hardscape contractors, getting sleeves in so all the wires are in the correct locations.
And I think something that's important to touch on is we just walked over a brick pathway. You're not getting that in after the fact unless you're ripping the bricks up.
It's going to be a little challenging.
Right, which takes us to our next spot here.
Yeah, so same thing with the driveway. Wherever there's hardscape, driveways, sidewalks, doesn't matter. I'll put multiple sleeves because we might have different zones for lighting. And I'll also communicate with the landscapers for irrigation, things like that, so we work together as a team.
Do you feel like it's smart for folks, if they're not sure, if they want to do anything yet, to run empty sleeves and you have them capped off?
That's a good point. I always tell people run 3 sleeves everywhere. Why would you not? It doesn't cost that much.
For sure. Now what's going on with these steps over here?
So the step lights here, another piece that's really important is we were in early. We ran all the wires to where the steps were being built. We also worked with their tradesman, the carpenter, and we routed out every single step to go into the riser of the step. And so again, communication, we need to be here in the beginning to make sure this is a success for the client.
Absolutely. These look like louvered vents, but they're really lights.
Yep, they're lights, they're louvered, all LED, tied in with the landscape lighting system and turn on every night. So here's another example with the hardscape lighting, how we can separate it from the landscape lighting. And so we have some clients that would like to control the lighting system in different ways. So let's say the landscape lighting turns on with one zone control, and the hardscape here, step lights, pool lights, planter wall lights, things like that, they'll want to control that separately. So we can actually coordinate with the audio video company, the electrician, run multiple zones, and then that way the client has more lighting control.
So we have landscape lighting, we have hardscape lighting. How is all this controlled?
Yep, and so that goes back to the infrastructure we were talking about earlier. So if we have conduit sleeves everywhere needed on the job site, it all leads back to typically the service yard. And that's where we'll talk about the power, the control of the lighting system, maybe an audio video company will have smart controls for the system or just a simple timer.
Cool, all right, let's go check that out. All right, Robbie, we're back around the service yard area. A lot going on back here. I see a couple of your boxes plugged into some electrical, but so you need to coordinate with the electricians, but how is this all controlled?
Yeah, so what we do is in the initial phase of the landscape, we're running all those wires we talked about earlier, the conduit sleeves, trying to get everything back to one location, and here it is.
Yeah.
And so here is where we can control the system. So we've wired up different transformers for different reasons. We've worked with the electrician to make sure the client has enough power. That's why they've got a quad here so it can, plug in more devices. And we work with the audio video company as well to make sure they have their controls here so that the client's lighting system works the way they want it to work.
Now with this lighting, we have different lights. You got hardscape, you have landscape, you have different types of hardscape. Can you control and dim each zone? How does that work?
Right, so on this property here, we have 4 zones, which means we have 4 transformers. And we also, one of those transformers is a dimmable transformer. So for the hardscape, for the step lights, things like that, sometimes clients want to dim those lights, but you don't really need to dim like the up lights and down lights and path lights.
Thanks for joining us today, Robbie. Next time we see you, we're going to talk a lot more about the lighting design and all of the other applications that you can utilize.